taken away from MilkyWay. They're on Necton. Then we have a Rumble and Sejuani ban on the side of FPX, looking towards their final ban. I mean, Tristana, Corki, all of those things up. They actually go for the Maokai as a denial there from WeiWei. Now moving over LNG.
Really
yeah, I feel like you said Scout likes to take towers. Tristana, one of the best taking tower ADCs in the game. Just give that over.
So, and Scout, he's only played the one game of the Tristana this year. Last year in 2023, his Tristana was awesome. To the point where LNG took the super team of JDG to 5 games in the finals, and they had a fantastic playoffs runs in that summer. Partly through Scout just being awesome at this pick and using it to arrange his early game, getting that early wave push that the Tristana can as well, to make plans with his jungle to say, I'm crashing the wave now, let's do something with it. So Care, who I think has been struggling, will now have to be up against one of the best in role currently in LPL. Scout has looked fantastic, even though his slump was huge. It's such a drastic change in form. He was fantastic in 2023, struggled in spring, and now in summer it looks like he's finally turned it back on. Tristana also very powerful in that Corki matchup in the hands of the right player, so Care has a big burden on his shoulders.
Now looking towards LNG. I'm looking at jungle here. I feel like AP jungle is important. That wasn't the AP jungle I was going to say. I was going to say Zyra. They're locking the Nidalee there for WeiWei. Locking the Cassante there for Zika in the top lane. Or Zika, sorry, in the top lane.
Yeah.
Still learning the pronunciation on all the players here.
Buddy, you know, I still get messed around with Hung as well, because there was also the WE jungler who was also Hung as well. It's a very similar pronunciation, so we try our best. But hey, sometimes get tripped up on that one. FPX, they might be locking in that point-and-click CC for ZDZ. ZDZ potentially picking up that Twisted Fate, and that will mean that he has a good matchup into the Cassante, and also means that you can get yourself the gold card into the Leona later into the game. It means that ZDZ, who's on his 3rd team in a year, has been giving himself a lot of resources now in this draft to potentially put Zika down.
Alright, as we move into the next ban phase, I'm curious what they're going to be looking towards. They actually banned the Braum off there. We talked a little bit about the Braum, but Braum obviously very good into Leona, but typically paired up with something like the Ashe. I'm looking more towards like the Kai'Sa angle for the side of LNG. Kai'Sa Nautilus is always a pretty safe one to be picking up, so that's kind of what
Gala's
I'm somewhat
Kai'Sa.
expecting.
Gala's Kai'Sa, one of the greats to do it. Took down BLG with that pick just the other day. The Ziggs is the other option that they could go towards too. So LNG likely thinking of either of those. Now FPX, do you ban away something like the Nautilus knowing that the Rakan's still available, or do you go towards something else? They actually ban out the Senna from Gala, so they're not necessarily angling towards getting rid of some of those AP options in that bot lane. Of course, they could maybe take one even themselves. They could potentially look for that Kai'Sa on 4 for Deokdam. He had a fantastic game on that just the other day versus LGD. And one of the reasons my voice is so ropey is the fact that he got a W Baron seal with Kai'Sa against LGD to turn that series, and it broke my vocal cords as well. So congrats there, Deokdam. I really appreciate that one. Zig's gone. I think Kai'Sa's a good 4th pick here.
Yeah, I think Kai'Sa's probably the safest blind pick, because you're also denying it from LNG. Because I think the problem right now that you have with the Nidalee is you only have like single target AP, really. So your AP's, I would say, a little bit more lopsided off the back of that, but they do just go immediately into the Lilia as their jungle option. Seeing what they're going to do. I mean, technically, there's still flex between this Corki and Twisted Fate. Now, I expect this to be an ADC down here, but there is still flex to kind of keep in mind. So that's something you're always going to have in the back of your mind. Is like, do we just want to put the Corki mid and then pick something like a Renekton up in the top lane and put TF mid? I mean, TF versus Tristana would be miserable. So I don't think they are going to go down that angle.
Yes, the Kai'Sa gets locked in fairly easily for LNG, and this was the worry. So you can ban away whatever the hell you want from in terms of like the supports. It did feel like there was enough available. Hung gets his Rakan. He's a very confident player of that too. So the Kai'Sa Rakan, I think that's completely fine into that Leona. You got a last pick AD carry now. Do you want to pick towards some lane dominance to hold them down? That might be the answer here. They'd have winning top, and potentially they'd have winning bot if they locked in something like that. That Kalista, particularly the Draven, very snowbally. The misfortune has been the more meta of the lane dominant picks though. So FPX, they have typically drafted higher towards early game and tried to get themselves that snowball with some quite bold early game plans. That has been the way they've done it. It's one of the reasons they pick so much Pyke, weirdly. They've had it banned against them because they like those early game plans. Against LNG, feels like if you let them off the ground, if you let them into the game, things do not go very well for them. Problem is now for FPX, you're against the Nidalee, which is very good at pinning down someone like that Lilia in the first clear. You've got the Tristana, which is likely to get pushed in that mid lane too. And the Kai'Sa Rakan is not a bad lane duo either. Yes, the MF Leona will be completely fine as a 2v2. They're a strong 2v2, but this is Gala and Hung on two of their most comfortable champions. So FPX, they have a bit of a task ahead of them. We knew they would do. LNG look like they are potentially the best team in the LPL right now, which I don't think anyone would have been guessing after their group stage performance. This team barely got themselves through into the Ascension group, but they're here now, and now they're 4-0 coming into this series.
Yeah, I also feel like if you're playing the Nidalee, you're quite happy. There's a lot of squishies on the enemy team, right? There's a lot of people who you hit a spear on, you're going to then switch into cat form, W, and they will die. It's only really Leona who's tanky, and Leona, you know, she's a support. She doesn't get access to as much gold, so this is, honestly, for LNG, I'm seeing some value in this Nidalee, which I wasn't initially seeing.
It has been. WeiWei's now most played champion. This will be his 7th game of it. LNG, they're starting to get some reps in. They're starting to build up momentum, and that momentum is already very, very high. FPX, on the other side of things, they've clutched out 2 series for their 2 wins, but they're against the 2 teams which are currently at the bottom of the table in Ascension, so FPX need to prove they can punch up. This will be about as high as you can punch up, though. So we're going to our first game in this Ascension group series.
Looks like we might be getting a little bit of shenanigans at the beginning of this game, but I think that has been somewhat thwarted here. FPX have been pushed away from the side of LNG. LNG just going to get himself that defensive line. Yeah. And I'm going to be interested to see where the early plays break out, because I think there's a lot of potential, especially from WeiWei on the Nidalee, to make something happen somewhere.
So this is why FPX wanted to walk up at level 1. They wanted to get a good level 1 ward down onto WeiWei to spot where he started. Now, they didn't manage to get that. WeiWei is not going to land that spear there. They know he's on top side right now, but he has 10 seconds to move onto his camps all the same. So ZDZ will spot out WeiWei, but it's going to be WeiWei who knows where MilkyWay is going. You kind of guessed that he's going towards the Raptors anyway, but the early jungle information can mean an awful lot. It can mean so much when you've got a Nidalee that can blow open the game. Now, we talked about the Renekton earlier in the day as a pick where you kind of need the Renekton pass. Earlier in the year, we had the Corki pass, where, look, players of the LPL didn't always get value out of these picks. Where the Renekton needs to smash lane really hard. The Corki, you know, needed to play out the team fights well, and it didn't necessarily happen. But there are a couple of key players that can. The Nidalee is now that pick, where it feels like unless you were Tien or Canyon in the LCK, playing that Nidalee just is very, very hard. You need to get so much value from it, and it gets very hard to get that later into the game. WeiWei, now on his 7th game of the champion, is really angling to keep that Nidalee pass, especially against FPX, in a game where it feels like he needs to be the go button for LNG in this early game to potentially stop MilkyWay, the star carrier of FPX, from getting off the ground.
Well, right now, WeiWei definitely going to be up a little bit on that clear tempo. He's getting his walls finished up and now heading over towards his Raptors. Heading bot side, so potentially could look for something down here. But the pressure very much heavily built up by FPX. They got a big wave they're crashing in, and LNG are kind of just having to have to suffer this level deficit as Gala actually levels up last. He's still level 1. But Hung has actually hit level 2.
Yeah. So FPX do need to be careful. They get the wave crash in. This is fine. So they know they've got the wave crash before WeiWei can get into the lane and before the level 2 comes through. Scout's going to give himself that bomb, which should be evened up a little bit more of this trade. Care taking pretty good damage there. Just taking minion aggro. But if he'd managed to stick around for another false bomb, maybe Scout could have had to blow his flash. Yeah, so FPX, they get this wave crash in, and the early laning phase goes well for them. They do need to be respectful of the fact that WeiWei could have come into their lane, but he's just going to get himself that full clear and goes himself now into the river. This is dangerous. What is WeiWei going to do for the next minute or two? You can see that Deokdam and Life just went into that bot side tri-brush to get themselves a ward down and make sure that WeiWei wasn't just hanging around there. They spotted him now going towards top side, so it's going to be bot scuttle over towards MilkyWay. WeiWei not able to influence that bot side of the map, and it will just be even farm between the junglers on the first clear.
There's not really much they're going to be able to do about that one. As Hung just makes his way back towards Gala underneath the tower. And there's a potential that actually we might see WeiWei move up towards top side. And going in onto him here, ZDZ used the gold card already. Spear goes a little bit wide. There's the ghost from ZDZ. He's now just putting a whole heap of pressure in. WeiWei eats himself a gold card, and ZDZ did have to burn the ghost, but ultimately will survive that gank.
Scout going to jump in towards mid lane again. So LNG, not finding anything particularly for their Nidalee to do so far. Hasn't got into the enemy jungle, hasn't got into one of the lanes. That's okay for now, but you do need to do something in the early game. The Nidalee is definitely not a champion, which gets easier to play as the game goes on. This is something, I can't remember the person who said it. It might have been Peter Dunn, but I might be mistaken about that, where Nidalee falls into a class of champion like Lee Sin, and let me explain this very quickly, because it might be a bit weird in regards to that, because they're very different champions. They are champions which scale weirdly in the game, because they don't lose damage as the game goes on, but they get more difficult to play. Scout has jump, will be able to buffer out.
Good flash, the Ignite comes in, Care's putting damage in. He can't finish it up, the Ignite tick from Life secures the kill.
Life gets the Ignite, he wins that bot lane early on with Deokdam and immediately goes a roaming. Scout on this pick, which has ruled the meta, goes down for that first blood very easily in that mid lane. Maybe just disrespecting what that Leona gang could do. Gets himself the buffer out, even with the flash though, which just didn't have the HP to play around. And FPX get themselves on the board early. And it's before this Nidalee, the champion we were just talking about, look, she gets harder to play as the game goes on. This is the best time to play it. That ward was disabled in that bot side. You would have known he was going away with that sweeper there. They should have seen that on the minimap. Just doesn't respect it well enough. Trying to push in the wave and just very, very disrespectful here. Could have flashed out of that Zenith blade. Chooses not to and dies.
Yeah, that is rough there for Scout. Burning down the last tick of the Ignite finishes them up. Kill did go to Life. That's your copium. Didn't go over to Care.
Yes.
But regardless, a successful gank coming in from the side of FPX. LNG now still struggling to really do anything with WeiWei on this Nidalee. Hasn't really been able to find an opportunity to get that opening that they want.
And then the question is, if you're not going to do it early into the game, what is going to happen? Yeah, this champion needs to get stuff out early. You do still have the damage if you hit his spears. It's very hard to do that. Deokdam maybe having to blow his barrier. Does manage to get out without using either of those things. So at least Gala and Hung managing to get some damage down onto Deokdam. MilkyWay goes towards the top side of the map, gets himself probably all three of these grubs. With Scout, good sidestep on one of those rockets. Not onto the Foss Bomb though, and not onto that second rocket. Losing that trade heavily. Spear landing.
They're not going to go for it. I think it would be a little dangerous to jump in there. Care. With those Ninja Tabby now sitting very comfortable in this lane. Scout losing every trade. And LNG, they were very slow on the play for this dragon. You see ZDZ actually popped the ultimate just to give information for his team. He's actually not going to come over and join, but FPX do know what's going on. Life flashes over the wall, tries to jump in. MilkyWay's going to be able to secure that dragon for his team as FPX have been forced back. My stream froze for a brief second there, but it looks like they're able to get away. Oh, that was scary.
They are, but the big thing there, WeiWei didn't have Smite. MilkyWay didn't either, but neither jungler had Smite, and FPX, they called the bluff. As soon as that TF came in, I think LNG had to disengage, and no, this early game has not been that precise from LNG. Cat, very lucky to get away with that one, gets hit by another spear on the long distance from the Nidalee. Could have been a buster shot through. Zika getting the all out.
He's going all in on ZDZ, but ZDZ going to be able to just avoid this one. Did have to burn the flash, so Zika going to be feeling pretty comfortable off the back of that one.
Yeah, so Zika getting something pretty easily there in that top side. ZDZ, of course, has no ultimate for the next while as well, so he's just going to be stuck alone in that lane. And if he doesn't have that flash, maybe that opens up some options for LNG. So, some plates over to Scout. He gets the bomb onto that turret. He's slightly ahead of Care. Because of that, he also has a Cull.
Oh, no.
Ignited.
That's Hung in a lot of danger, but he's able to break away. The Ignite will not finish him up. Did have to burn the heal. But ultimately, that is that. So, we'll actually have a little look at the replay at the Dragon, so we can see exactly what happened.
Look, realistically, as soon as that TF ult is pulled, you should be disengaging. You don't have that smite, just don't get yourself to that point where if you're a blue side team trying to take that dragon, it's a problem. Neither of them have smite, goes down to 190 HP, MilkyWay has the W, gets himself that flash Q ult as well. Blows the flash, which is a bit unfortunate, it's a very powerful tool, but still, MilkyWay getting himself the steal, almost getting himself a good team fight after that point too.
Right, Gala just going to be quite happy to hold this wave here. Right now, gold lead is in favor of FPX, but it is marginal. And LNG, typically a team who they're more structured and slow in their play style, so I think they're going to be okay with the gold lead not being that massive at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to reach a point where it probably happens around about 12 minutes or so. Around then, anyway. Just before the Herald spawns, but after the grubs have been taken, around that kind of timestamp where Scout and Care will likely be going into side lanes and the bot laners will be going into mid lane instead. At that kind of point, that's where we see where the style of LNG has kind of been birthed from. They've done this through different roster iterations. They did this last year, where Scout effectively looks to try and get himself onto side lane turrets as effectively as possible. There was a game in group stage, one of the best, well, the best which LNG played, where they played against top esports who were in full form at that point. Took a game off of them with a series of play which really defined that game, where they took 5 turrets for 1 in one fell swoop in 5 minutes in the game, where you could see exactly where they could kind of get their advantages through. LNG, they've had some great macro in the past. One thing which they couldn't do necessarily was team fight as well as other top teams. It looks like they've managed to do that much better in their last few series as well. Zika has flash, has himself his cooldowns. Maybe a chance for FPX to make a big play up here. Gold card not used though, it's just going to be pushing in. Maybe that's ZDZ just playing the body language though. Gets himself a gold card now, but no option available.
Yeah, he's just going to eat that, but it's not really going to matter as LNG have now rotated over.
Yeah,
that's going to be the ultimate coming out. They do get the solar flare down. WeiWei finds himself caught immediately. Gold card not really going to hit anyone as ZDZ goes down. They trade out 1 for 1 so far. Scout keeping the pressure up. In comes the flank from Zika. MilkyWay gets himself the Q down, gets 3 people marked, and they're all going for a quick snooze. This fight might get brutal right now for LNG, as that's going to be Deokdam securing himself the kill as well. LNG getting crushed a little bit there.
Yeah, it started out kind of even because they managed to get down onto ZDZ as he gets into the backline. Gala gets himself good amount of damage through there, but MilkyWay Swirl Seed ends up bringing it back in favor of FPX. They're going to get themselves 6 grubs now. And LNG in this early game are really being taken to task. WeiWei, sadly for him on the Nidalee, not, again, really getting that much done on this pick. He walks up towards this top side, knowing that it is the weak side of the map. And I think that's a mistake. The TF has come back up, and ZDZ, the replacement top laner for FPX, starts things off well. Even though if he can't get himself out alive from this one, the fact that he pulled the ult, it was the right play for the team call at that point. Zika probably goes a little bit too far here. This Swell Seed is fantastic. Gets it onto both carries of LNG. That's insane. It also gets it on, gets that ultimate onto the front line. The fact that the carries have to back off means that they get themselves an extra kill there, so MilkyWay starting things off strong, and we love to see that.
Giving the pressure up onto ZDZ, though. Swelsey comes in, hit by the bowling ball, and now Life flashes forwards. Way goes down. ZDZ secures the kill. Zika now just trying to make a break for it as the Swelsey gets a little bit wide. Solar Flare flashed out as well, but in comes a Misfortune, slowing them down with a Make It Rain, missing on the Zenith blade there from Life. And Zika able to survive that one, but WeiWei 0-2 on the Nidalee has really not achieved much on this pick.
Yeah, the Nidalee needs to get stuff done early. How many times do you want us to say it? He sat there. The gold deficit to MilkyWay, who has that Blackfire Torch. First item, the bonus of going for the Blackfire over the Leandries is that you have more Swirl Seeds, you have more cooldown reduction than the Leandries build. The Leandries is better in terms of your damage, but you do get a little bit more uptime on your ultimate and make plays faster. If MilkyWay can keep up that pace, maybe they can accelerate the game away from the Nidalee, which is not what you expect at all. So MilkyWay looking to take this game by his own 2 hands alongside Life on that Leona, who's also been key in a lot of these big plays so far. LNG, they would need things to slow down around now. They'd love to slow things down and get Scout cashing in that call. Gala cashing in that call, so you can get Scout in this Tristana. Gala on the Kai'Sa, which he made his name on, into a point where they can fight back in these big team fights against FPX. We've seen them have some moments, even in just that last fight before them, around that topside river. Gala and Scout had the potential to turn around some kills, but they don't quite have the gold just yet, and they want to make sure that by the time the next big fight happens, FPX haven't accelerated further away.
That tower going down to K. He's got 6 grubs in his pocket. He's been able to pick this one up nice and easily, so we're going to see just the race for first tower here between the 2 teams. But, I mean, it's 2 versus 1, but it's the grubs in K's pocket, so he is melting through that objective, and I don't think LNG are going to be able to win this fight. They've not even got through that next plate yet. Plates will now fall off any second, and actually it looks like K will get his tower before the plates fall off. I'm not sure FPX can, LNG can get theirs before the plates fall off. It's
They
going to
should
be close.
be able to.
10 seconds, yeah, they've done it.
They have the bomb. They have the bomb. The thing is, when you take that play, Life looking for a big play now, Scout's still on the top side, but they find themselves the TF ult.
Yeah, the Destiny was used, but a great stun there from Hung. WeiWei flashes away from the solar flare, but that is going to be Hung sacrificing his life. WeiWei losing so much damage. The bullet time is melting him. The gold card is huge, and Deokdam secures another kill for his team. FPX, it's the day of the underdogs.
And it's every single TF fault which is starting off these fights. LNG need to be so careful about where ZDZ is entering these plays. He's the one who's pressing the go button and the whole team is following suit. The damage not necessarily coming through from the TF, but it's definitely helped by the fact that the TFL is making sure that the team has full information where LNG is. Hung, another good counterplay to make sure that ZDZ is CC'd as soon as he lands. But the fact that LNG cannot turn and burn and immediately win that fight means that they can survive round to the second gold card, to the second round of cooldowns. And FPX are accelerating this game further than what LNG would realistically want. Zika's now going to flank TP to try and even up the odds. Care gets the Valkyrie out though, and he should maybe be safe now with the flash.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to get onto him. They do jump over the wall. The swirl seat goes a little bit wide here, but they get the kidnap. Care miles away from his team. The all-out was beautiful there from Zika. Now they're pushing up once again into the middle of everyone. We do see the snooze come in. WeiWei going to get caught staying for Zika, and Zika's burning low. FPX just commanding these fights.
That one felt like an overstay from LNG. Massive overstay from Zika, where you're trying to make this quick play onto Care. It lasts a little bit long, so you don't find the perfect angle. That second play, though, when you don't have... If you have the W, maybe you can make a play. ZDZ, got to be careful here. Scout's got Buster Shot.
Yeah, the gold card comes in, followed by the Ghost. Can he go the right way? Yes, he can. He knows exactly where ZDZ is, but the Ghost should buy him enough space, and ZDZ is able to escape. That is a pretty big one burnt. I mean, the flash by Scout was burnt as well, I guess, so all in all,
was close. So
pretty equal trade.
What Scout tried to do there was use his... so he knows he's going to get hit by the second gold card, but if he's using his jump animation during that, if he lands the slow and he guesses where TF is going to step, then he gets the slow, and most of that gold card CC has been used by the jump animation. He probably gets the kill at that point. So ZDZ choosing the right place to step, knowing he has that Ghost to walk out to safety, saves his life. LNG, they're snatching and grabbing at a couple of plays now. This is not what we've seen from them so much. FPX giving a hell of a run in this early game so far. They are at 2,000 gold ahead. It's a decent gold lead for this point in the game. Need to make sure that they continue on this point, though. They've already put WeiWei to 0 and 3. ZDZ's ult is coming up soon. And we have seen, every time that is off cooldown, a big play is being made between him and MilkyWay and Life. ZDZ... He's the person who's pressing that ultimate to start off proceedings, but the fact that everyone else is there to follow up is the more important point for FPX. Every time LNG are pushing up, it feels like they have been overextending into that TF ultimate, and it means that though LNG are looking to play around these side lane turrets, as we've said, is so key to their part of their playstyle, when they are doing so, before they get themselves into position, FPX is pulling the trigger and punishing them. Now the TF ult back up. Next time LNG push up, wait to see those cards appear on top of each of those heads of LNG, because that has been the game plan so far.
Right. What have we got spawning up? Dragon in a minute. FPX going to be looking to probably put their attention towards that one. Have got that Herald as well, which they can use to buy themselves a bit of pressure in this mid-wave, which they are struggling to take down, even with all of the fights that have been going in their favor. Now, it's a teleport breaking in onto ZDZ. No, the solar flare stops the play from happening. ZDZ does get clipped by the all-out. Destiny used. ZDZ out. He rejoins with his team. That was just terrible. That's the whole word.
It's a mistake from Scout, who ends up recalling it, well, teleporting in full vision, so Life knows exactly where to cancel it to get the center of the ultimate. Then also Zika doesn't have any cancels for ZDZ on his teleport, so now LNG, their big power play, using that teleport, using the flash and ult from Zika, don't work out for anything. ZDZ, yes, his ult is down, and FPX don't have that available now. Maybe that will be an extended win from LNG, because they don't have to worry about that Destiny Gate, and they didn't lose any kills, but they should have gotten so much more. And given that they are 4-0, just having beaten top esports and BLG, we do expect more from this team. The fact that they are misplaying in big moments like that is not what we've come to expect from them over this last week or two.
Yeah, that was a real fumble there by LNG. think they thought they had FPX sleeping, but they did not. FPX able to answer out now. Life taking a whole heap of damage. In jumps Gala into the middle of this fight. Actually, they got a whole heap of damage. The bullet time is interrupted by Hung. He does go down, though, to ZDZ. Now, Care jumps into the fight. Can't quite finish up Gala, but WeiWei will be in his mark. That's another kill picked up for the side of FPX. Scout gets the buster shot back. Double kill onto ZDZ. Dragon in their pocket. FPX feeling very, very good about that one.
LNG choose this fight again, though. Gala goes forwards, almost gets the assassination, but can't quite manage it. And FPX are just taking this all in their stride. They have the power, they have the confidence to continue these plays and make sure they're calling LNG's bluff. FPX, this is a team which clutched out 2 series recently, which they realistically should have lost 2-0. They ended up winning both of them through some hero plays of various members, but this one has just been them rolling over most of this first game. Gala goes in very quickly onto Life, but Life is tanky enough with the Eclipse and his Aftershock to get out alive. The teleport from Zika doesn't really come in a point where he can determine this fight, and WeiWei on this Nidalee has provided very little to this game so far and goes down again for an easy kill. LNG falling apart in this early game through mostly plays of their own making.
Yeah, it really has just been the punish coming in from the side of FPX. Constantly able to find those openings and opportunities, and now the Baron spawning up. 3 dragons in the pocket of FPX is that Ocean Soul, so they have lots to sustain. Hung is going to be able to avoid Life's Zenith Blade there, although they do spot out that Scout's over the wall. I don't think they're going to pull a trigger and try and kill him. I think they're quite happy to use these 6 grubs they picked up earlier to liquefy the towers. Double ADCs with grubs. Towers are not going to live very long.
Yeah, and typically it's LNG who ends up doing this stuff. The fact that Scout has not managed to get much value out of side lanes, the fact that he has now popped his cull and is still down probably closer to 2,000 than 1.5k now in the individual lane. Yep, 1.8k currently there for Care. That is disaster for LNG. Scout, this Tristana has been something he's used very powerfully in the past. ZDZ pops the Ghost. No one's coming to help him right now.
Yeah, he's got the Destiny as well, so he knows exactly what's going on. Zika eats a lot of that, and now ZDZ going to pop that Destiny.
Okay.
He definitely saw Hung about, throws the gold card, gets hit by the all-out, and that is the kill for Hung.
What? But, look, Hung has managed to be there at the landing point for the TF in almost all of his ults so far. That one, though, ZDZ chose. He could have got out to safety, goes straight on top of that Rakan, and ZDZ gives over 500 gold to, I guess, just the Rakan, but even then, that's going to power him through to a Warmogs, which is a very powerful first item. And it'll get him closer to that one. And suddenly LNG do get themselves into these silence. They have objective bounties too, so that's some gold over to them. So ZDZ, despite the fact that his Destiny Gates in the first part of this game were instrumental in the way that FPX were playing this through, 2 in a row now, not necessarily working out the way that he wanted. He finds himself this extended trade where he knows that there's no teleport on Tristana. That was realistically coming out to help him that can kill him that easily. This is a mistake, though. What? Just he had the vision on Hung. He has it right. He just goes straight into. He gifts it over to him. He could have gone straight towards that tower. Surely that is either a miscalculation or a misclick. It's one of the two. It's a big mistake all the same.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake coming in from ZDZ. He was honestly played outside of that very, very well on the Twisted Fate. So bit of a misplay by him. Also gives up that tower in the bot side and somewhat alleviates the gold deficit between LNG and FPX right now. A Scout just catching this wave here, does have Hung waiting in the wings. FPX hovering around this Baron. I mean, if they can catch LNG sleeping, they will take Baron down very quickly. This Corki, incredibly fed. You've got the Leandries and the Blackfire now finished up onto MilkyWay. Baron won't last long.
No, not at all. I will say, something that we saw around, if you remember the first dragon of the game where FX walked up and they stole the dragon, they managed to force LNG to kind of like flash over the wall and stuff like that. That was because of the terrain. Dragon, when you're on blue side, is very difficult because you are trapped against the wall. Baron, when you're on red side, as FPX are here, is also difficult because you are trapped against that wall. And particularly when you have that Lilia, you don't get to cross walls like you can do as a Nidalee or what have you. When you're playing these AP junglers, that is something which you need to be very careful of. If you're a Karthus or a Xayah or a Lilia, and you're stuck there, it can be very, very painful to be stuck in that position. So FPX, while they would like to go towards that Baron, they don't want to give LNG the easy fish in a barrel scenario. Which could really end things out. You do have 2 items on both these AD carries from Scout and Gala. Yes, they are behind this core key. Care is very, very strong, but that doesn't mean they're not strong in their own right. And it's also Gala's Kai'Sa, and it's also Scout on a Tristana, which, despite him not having the best game so far, is a very powerful champion. FPX need to pay respect, despite the fact that they're ahead in this game. With the Dragon up in a minute, maybe that'll be where they cast the gaze to just try and contest around this vision on top side to make sure LNG don't have a response angle, then aim for Soul.
Looks like they're just clearing out some of this vision. Getting themselves angled towards that Soul. I think the Ocean Soul is going to be so impactful for the side of FPX. Lilia gets so much more survivability off the back of that one, seeing she kind of stands around in the middle of the fight, swinging her Q around. Hunk is just going to be sent off for the moment as Care. Just done a lot of work to Zika. Zika does have that healing from the Unending Despair. Now we do see the Destiny used. Solar Flare comes down. ZDZ able to break away from Scout though. So he's just going to Destiny and join up with the rest of his team. But Scout has now chunked the hell out of ZDZ. This Dragon, sorry. Maybe a little bit harder to pull off. WeiWei in the back of the pit does get himself zoned away. Care going very low. And it actually looks like FPX may just have to give this one up. Zaka rejoins into the middle of the fray. Life lands himself a Zenith Wave. MilkyWay wants to try and jump in. He comes in with a flash. Doesn't get the secure. That's going to be one onto the Scout. Scout, can he find a little bit more? The Bullet Time's buying a bit of a zoning tool here, as now we're seeing Life getting caught out by Zaka, but Zaka able to turn it around. The rocket doesn't do the damage. The shield, just enough for Zaka to live.
Honestly, heroics by Scout in that whole sequence of plays. He gets the great chunk onto the Twisted Fate in the bot lane. Yes, he's not as far ahead as he could be on this Twisted Fate, but he does still have that 2-item combo of the Fire Cannon. If he'd made his way into the fight cleanly with that Destiny Gate, it would have been that gold card into the Bullet Time, into everything else. But FPX's combo is broken apart by Scout finding ZDZ in that side lane again. He's not killed him just yet, but he's ended up denying him some good opportunities. Care has a huge amount of damage, but he's also turned down by both Gala and Scout, and that opens up the window. By this point, you now suddenly have ZDZ and Care wanting to play more respectfully, and considering there's so much of the damage, that really doesn't help. MilkyWay goes in for a steal, doesn't get it. That ends things off, unfortunately, for FPX as well, and sadly, FPX just can't find themselves the big kills that they would have liked to. They don't even manage to get this one into Zika. Somehow, Zika lives. That might have been a tick of Ocean Dragon healing, a one-based Ocean Dragon, which is life and death there, and it was that close.
Incredibly close there. FPX unable to really push the advantage that they've gained, and they've had the advantage for most of this game. It feels like LNG have successfully managed to put the brakes onto them though, and really made this game just that much harder for FPX to actually do anything, as they are looking to posture around this Baron. Life just clearing some vision out, but it's so hard to do because Gala can just check without using a blue, just due to him having W. So they'll always be able to have the information.
Yeah, he was just spot on. MilkyWay was looking to cancel that recall with the Swell Seed. Gala ends up... oh, hang on, it's going down anyway. Hung's going to have to walk up and potentially check this. Have they spotted this out? It's burning down. It'll be about half HP. They don't spot it. FPX, they have the vision control. I think they've just snuck it.
Well, they saw MilkyWay, so they assumed he's not in the pit. They didn't realize Care and Deokdam are doing it. That's going to be the Baron secure for the side of FPX. Can there be a punish? It looks like the answer to that is no. FPX just steal the Baron from underneath their nose. Really nice play by them.
Yeah, LNG, they just don't use the blue trigger. I think they are. I think you're completely right. Confused by the fact that MilkyWay is not on the Baron, but they don't respect the fact that he can just go back towards it, get the last smite if he needs to, but let other people DPS it down. FPX, who lost out in the last few fights compared to where they should be in the game, get themselves a very important Baron. That Baron is now going to tie them over to the next Dragon, which means they can set up the map even better for the next Dragon take, which could give them that soul, which could genuinely be game-winning after that point. LNG, I thought they managed to slow things down well enough. That hasn't been the case. Gala gets himself that third item. Scout gets himself that third item. They're ready to fight, but they don't want to be fighting from a poor map state, which can very much happen through the Baron, pushing in so many lanes for FPX.
Really going to accelerate this game here for the side of FPX. Have those 6 grubs as well, so every auto on the tower just chunks it more and more. Down goes the tower in the mid lane. Now, normally with this first Baron, you want to try and take all of the towers outside of the base and just completely open the map up for yourself. See if FPX are going to be able to execute on that. Right now, top and bot are not particularly in the greatest spots for them, so maybe a little bit of a hard ask for the side of FPX to take these towers, all of them at least, as it looks like Care's going to make his way over towards the bot lane, and seeing a recall coming in from the side of Deokdam, so Deokdam, sorry, so they're probably
no, getting used to this.
He's already getting to me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, particularly when it's like, because we have a mix of like people from like coming from the LCK, people in long time with the LPL. Sometimes the pronunciation gets a little bit weird. Sometimes for us, anyways, first language English speakers, we have to kind of get used to those ones. Dragon now spawning up in a minute. FPX, they don't have that Destiny Gate. That's typically how they've used to scout out this advanced position. TF doesn't always need vision control. He can provide his own on a bit of a lengthy cooldown, but it's there all the same. FPX, they are looking to push out that mid lane and that bot lane, control this entire half of the map for an extended period of time. Starve out the wards from LNG. Now, they haven't managed to completely do that. Scout managed to get a jump onto Care. This is dangerous now for him.
Oh, Scout flashed the rocket from Care. He dodges both of them. The Buster Shot's huge. Gala secures the kill. Scout dodged both of the rockets. That was so key.
And he then delivered Care with a bow wrapped on top of it into the hands of his teammates. He can recall, he can get himself a teleport back into the fray. FPX playing now without their largest gold lead is not going to be able to find that. And Hung just dragged Life over the wall, which means now he's in danger too.
He just read him like a book. A beautiful flash comes out there from Life, but now that is him flashless. They may just have to give this Dragon up. There's no way Care's going to come up in time. Gold card charged up onto ZDZ. Scout jumps the wall. It looks like they're trying to come for it. The Destiny has been popped. They have all the information they need. Just keeping this Rakan out of the fight with the gold card, but everybody else is just going to launch in. Zucker jumps onto Life. ZDZ with the Ghost is just avoiding and evading as much damage as possible. Gold card use. Scout's going to eat that one as they do secure the kill onto Life. Massive bullet time, but everyone is asleep through it, so they're not going to be able to do... Sorry, Zonya's through it, so not going to be able to do anything. Good rocket coming in, though, from Cares. Deokdam is Deokdam caught out, taken down. Gala secures the kill onto him. Massive swirl seed, but no damage to follow up. Oh, LNG turning this game back around.
And it all comes off of Scout, again finding an angle in a side lane just before the play comes up. Before this, it was him getting onto ZDZ and making sure he's on a 3rd HP before the fight starts. This side was him just assassinating the Corki, the person who had so much of this gold giving over to them on the side of FPX. Scout finds him. You know, Care's trying to stop recalls. He's trying to stop recalls, and I understand that, but he goes too far. He ends up getting massively outplayed, very close to killing Scout. One of those extra rocket lands, if he lands a big one through that, would have 100% killed him. He goes down, and it's within the timing window where Scout gets the kill, can recall, and then go teleport back into the play. Life makes a bit of a mistake. You can see that they're trying to get a play before the teleports come in from LNG back onto it. FPX, you know, if this Dragon had spawned 10 seconds earlier, they might have been able to find themselves a play before this teleports came back in. Not to be the case, and now LNG, despite the fact that most this summer has not been great in terms of their team fighting, they are now team fighting very well. They're setting up for their team fights very well, and this has been the evolution of LNG. They are not just the side lane macro team who can have some strong plays out of you know, the various team members when they go towards the macro. They can also team fight now as well. We're getting back onto the Rift. We have 4 items now onto Gala, who's gone for a Banshees, which makes it harder for ZDZ to get himself, particularly that ultimate to give vision of Gala, which means he can maybe sit in Fog of War. Most of the time blowing that Banshees with that Destiny Gate is very valuable, but still the magic resist too can be very, very helpful for Gala. LNG getting into points of power. Even though they're still behind the game, they are looking stronger and stronger as the game goes on. They're getting more into their comfort zone.
Yeah, this is what LNG want to do. They want to slow the game down. They want to kind of get into that late game where they can out-team fight. And so far, that's what they've been able to do versus FPX. FPX had such a lead at the beginning of this game, and now it's 2. Zucker jumps in, immediately finds the kill. Deokdam goes down. The solar flare hits everyone. Massive Q coming in from the side of Milky, but it's not going to do too much. They do answer out, though. 1-for-1 ADC for top lane. I'm not sure if FPX can really do much more off the back of this, as seeing LNG. Are they going to be able to stop this?
Well, this is the thing. Baron is up in 10 seconds. FPX, they have a similar death timer on Deokdam to Zucker, and of course Misfortune can walk across the map very well, but Zucker will have his teleport up when he comes back into the play. He'll be ready to fight again. ZDZ popping that ultimate, trying to get themselves better position again. There is no front line for LNG. Hung is the best they've got. He's got HP, but he's not the tankiest. Baron's still going down.
Teleport coming in. ZDZ made his way in with that Destiny. MilkyWay gets Buster shot out. Can they find the fight they need? Milky going incredibly low. Scout is just out putting so much damage inside the pit. Caught by the gold card. They're going to get the kill onto him. Hung jumps over the wall with a sliver of health. In comes Deokdam. Bullet time him onto Gala. Will get so much damage down onto him, but Gala ults into his face. Deokdam secures himself the kill. Hung on the run. The solar flare is big, but it's not enough to slow Hung down. And somehow LNG make their way out of the pit with free.
Well, they make it out with a couple. Zika didn't get himself that Baron buff, so it's only the 2 buffs. And also Zika, when he teleported back, was not there to be a front line for the team. He teleported to mid lane, which meant he couldn't protect his carries. FPX, they are now as 5 with a couple of lengthy death timers, so they get themselves an inhibitor, and they get themselves, what, 2 kills in the extended play. FPX, I think they get more than they bargained for in that case. I don't think this Baron is going to be that impactful from LNG. Go back to a replay of how this all started. It's going to be a bit of a Baron flip. You use that Buster shot to get rid of MilkyWay from smite range. That's well played to make sure there is no contest on that one. But the problem is, Scout then uses his jump. He has the Flicker Blaze. He's trying to get enough autos down to get himself the cooldown back on his jump, but he can't quite manage it before that comes through. He gets his jump back now. The damage is already done. And look at this teleport into the mid lane. This is the big mistake. If you teleport to the ward, Zika can tell he can frontline for this team. But because he doesn't get there in time, it means that Gala and Hung are left alone. I think Zucker's teleport ends up throwing the rest of his team a little bit under the bus. He could have been out of frontline.
Yeah, he definitely mispositioned off the back of that one, but with that now aside, we're now moving towards that dragon, and Hung, no ultimate. Destiny used. ZDZ keeping the pressure up, can't find the kill. But that Destiny did reveal WeiWei.
But Dragon spawned. Dragon spawns. This could just be the soul for FPX. Hung, no heal, no ultimate as well, so his engage threat is much further down than it could be.
Can he make the steal happen? Big bullet time, massive rocket to follow. Ocean Soul finally in the pocket of FPX. What are they going to do with it, though? I mean, again, looking at the side lanes, you can see that Scout has gone to the bot side to sort that wave out. The wave is miles away from top. FPX, I don't think ARAM is the answer here. The enemy team have Baron. You might have super minions, but the enemy team has Baron.
Yeah, but they do have themselves the extended range. They have themselves the swirl seeds. They have themselves... Deokdam, that's a bit of danger there, though. FPX, they have reached their late-game comfort zone. They have clutched out late games very, very recently. They're probably been the team with the most late-game practice from this summer split so far. And despite the fact that LNG are currently 4-0 on a apparent top team in the LPL, but FPX are given a hell of a game here. FPX, they have themselves that Baron buff to keep walking, or like they have themselves that death ball really to walk in against that Baron buff and make this a negative Baron power play.
Yeah, they're able to force them back, get themselves 1,000 gold up off the back of that Baron power play. Well, 1,000 gold to FPX, not to LNG. Minus 1,000 is what most
yes,
people would
FPX's
say.
Baron power play, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was. It just, they didn't need the buff. They just needed the Baron to do the work for them. Really, really nice stuff here by FPX. Soul in their pocket as well. That means we're going to have Elder in the next 5 minutes, Baron in the next 2.5. They did get that tier 2 on the bot side. Actually, no, I think that was already down. I think it's this tier 2 on the top side is the one they haven't touched yet. They do probably want to try and get some control over there, because I do think the side lane management from FPX has been somewhat lacking. They've been more Milky fat-fingered.
Milky.
Oh, that is sad.
Well, he has himself... So the thing about Lilia is that Lilia is really good when you have Flash, Ult, and Zhonya's, because it means you can get your ultimate pretty much guaranteed. It's quite hard to do it without all of those things, though. You flash in, you get the Q, you get your ult. You sometimes need that Zhonya's to make sure the sleep comes to fruition, so that one thing down is going to be a problem. And now he doesn't have the Zhonya's for Zika flank teleporting. They should be able to get a good fight out of this. FPX, look for the retreat.
Yeah, ZDZ is going to make his way in with the teleport, looking for the perfect gold card opportunity, but actually it's LNG who end up losing. The solar flare lands in onto Zika, and Zika goes down. Care secures the kill. FPX is just pinging mid. They might try and run down. They don't have a wave, though, so it's going to be very hard for them to really do much of anything here.
So that's why what they're doing is they're pinning LNG in mid lane. They're pushing that wave in, and they're making sure that Care can go top side to get this top wave pushed in. This is a multi-part plan. Pin LNG onto that mid wave so they can't go and wave clear top lane as easily, and make sure you can get that side lane management, which they've been lacking so far. Again, FPX, late game is their comfort zone. They are very much there. 4 items on their 3 AD carries across the map. LNG, they have been a little bit blindsided here by FPX. They're losing another turret in LNG. They don't have another flank teleport to bring to bear. Zika has really struggled in this game. 1-5 on the Cassante, did well in the individual matchup, but the bigger fights, FPX have just CC'd him into the grey screen. Going to take themselves a second inhibitor.
Yeah, that inhib is nice and easy. I said their top lane management has been a little bit lackluster. Not anymore. Able to sort that one out, take the inhibitor, take 2 towers as well. Really, really big pickup here for the side of FPX. Yep. Who are now being chased off by Hung. I think they're just kind of making sure they can't recall too close and stalling them out before they've reset for this Baron, because you know this Baron is probably where the game's going to be decided, and Hung doing his best to make sure that FPX don't spend this gold they just gained for that Baron.
Hung might be looking to cancel a recall or two. That's why he's hanging around here. If he can stop a recall, this could evolve into a fight. Who's back in base? CDZ and Life. They're not going to have to find a fight over it all the same. Just prevents FPX from getting clean resets. Baron has now spawned. Some of those resets were a little bit slower, so LNG will have themselves slight advantage in that top side. Teleport into the mid lane, though, to make sure FPX can get themselves that mid lane push and they can keep going forwards. Life has himself 2 items. He's pretty tanky at this point. Of course, Hung has the same, but need to see how this frontline battle is going to work out. Gala has poke now too. That Kaiser W, very, very powerful. LNG have to be aware of that ZDZ ultimate. He's going to use that to spot them out in their positioning on the map yet again.
So ZDZ, gold card in his pocket. Waiting for an opportunity to find someone to target. He's going to time it out. FPX just getting control of mid once again. Very tense couple of moments coming up here between these two teams as they do that Baron dance. FPX do have marginal vision control, but it's very spread across the board here. Is now Zika forced to flash as the fight starts. Gold card on ZDZ, does catch it onto WeiWei. They're just turning onto Zika to get some damage down. Solar Flare does hit him. Uses that W just to spread away, disappear off. WeiWei, can he find the steal? That is going to be the big one. Comes in with the smite. Comes in, doesn't get the steal. That's picked up there by the side of MilkyWay. Bullet time did connect as well. Jungler down. Baron in pocket for FPX. They've got the tools they need now.
Yeah, and LNG, they get away with nothing. They get nothing out of this. They don't get themselves the poke that they need, despite Gala having the death cap. He gets good W's down, but it just doesn't come through in time. WeiWei, 0-5 on this Nidalee, is 3,000 down to MilkyWay on the Lilia. Effectively, LNG are playing a 4v5 at this point. You have a jungle Soraka instead of that jungle Nidalee. You get some heals, but that's about it. Scout will get spotted out by that take there. Care might be able to Valkyrie over the wall if he was particularly bold, but he doesn't know where the rest of the members are. LNG, they still have damage. They still have the potential of Gala and Scout pulling off a miracle with, Gala's Kaiser, one of the legendary picks in the LPL, and Scout on a very, very powerful Tristana as well. Hung's going to walk up, initially caught. Does have that E out. Will he be safe? MilkyWay has a lot of movement speed, but can't quite catch up. Elder now up in 10 seconds. Teleport in from Zika. No flash. Has that Jack show. And LNG have one last chance to stop FPX in their stride.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard ask for them. Hung jumping over the wall, just getting some vision down, but it's immediately going to get cleared out by FPX. They catch the gold card, the Zenith Blade in onto him. Just a little bit of damage, but Life actually is the one losing a lot of HP here. The quickness used, ZDZ with gold card in his pocket, ready to go. Life forced to flash, does have that Ocean Drake, remember, though, so will heal up nicely. ZDZ teleports over the wall to join up with his team, and Zika is losing so much HP here. Scout's trying to put some damage out, but doesn't quite make the connection happen. Hung jumps over the wall, gets some vision for his team in that pit as WeiWei hit by the Swirl Seed. Dragon half HP as it goes in for a light reset. Bullet time goes a little bit wide, doesn't really hit its mark. They do get the sleep off the multiple people. Zika now with the all-out is going to separate them away. WeiWei's low HP. That's going to be the Elder in the pocket of FPX. Life is just doing his work. Care over the wall. Should be able to finish these players up, although he's busted the shot back. Gala goes down. He falls with him. FPX. Get the Elder, get the Baron. I mean, they've got everything they need to close this game out.
FPX reached their late game comfort zone. They've done it so many times recently, and not even LNG at 4-0 in series are immune to the late game prowess of FunPlus Phoenix, MilkyWay and crew, taking the first Nexus of this series versus the team that just beat Top Esports and BLG.
Not before polishing off those KDAs. A couple of extra kills given over. WeiWei is Nidalee. Unfortunately, a little underwhelming in this game one as FPX go one up in the series.
LNG maybe just caught a little bit sleeping in this one. They had some powerful moments between Scout and Gala. It felt like LNG, they had the damage, they had the tools to win through there, but FPX, there is something about this team once they reach about 30 to 35 minutes where they just lock in. This team just gets really zoned in. When they came into the league in spring with this roster, with MilkyWay, this guy coming out of the LDL, a hot prospect, but how good could he really be? He was shot-calling backdoors against top esports in spring. He was shot-calling these hyper late games, but this team really has managed to build again in summer, where even our top teams cannot avoid this late game monstrosity of FunPlus Phoenix.
Well, that was an absolutely huge game there for FPX, taking a win off the top team in the group, but they have to do it again if they want to deny them the whole series. We're going to throw ourselves to a quick break, and we're back with game number 2 of the series. So see you